Hello everyone and welcome to GPVWC, where qualifying is just wrapping up for the Canadian round of the 2022 Superlights Championship. And there is your pole sitter now, not provisional pole sitter anymore, because it seems that everyone who can set a flying lap has set their final qualifying lap. Ruben Machete will start on pole position here today alongside Michael Ayres on the grid. I'm being joined for this broadcast by Menno Klont, who knows the Canadian Grand Prix circuit very, very well, has raced here many times. Menno, how are you doing?
I'm fine, Caitlin. Thanks for asking. So we're already here in Canada, 8th round of the championship. So at the end of this race, actually say 8 rounds. Is that correct? Or was it the 7th round? 7th round. Sorry. So we're nearly halfway, and Canada always interesting. A lot of long straights. A lot of chance on rain. At least most of the time, but let's see if we'll have that. As always, I'm looking very forward to this race, and we've got quite a good grid, Caitlin, with 22 drivers, and our pole sitter for the race is of course Ruben Machete, and Ruben Machete, everything he touches here at this circuit turns to gold. He won,
Indeed.
I believe, both races in FS2 and scored a podium in FS1. And now he's on pole in Superlights. So I think maybe the Canadians should think about giving Ruben Machete Canadian citizenship, because he's doing an excellent job. But of course, the job is far from done. We now still see the qualifying results here on screen with the second half.
Saracino on Pollent, so 3rd and 4th on the grid, followed by championship leader Luke Maguire, and then Shimon Frelick, Chris Butcher, Olivier Perukian, Pascal Schmidt, Dylan Platt. There's Hygo Poom, P11, followed by Jakob Ekalalu, Tom van der Voort, and then David Wasserman, Maxi Geisinger, George Sutton, Mateusz Gazowski, sorry, Patrick Rojak, Owen Phil-Haugsvik, and Ben Willis, and then the final position on the grid is currently taken up by Fabian Schiertzig. We also had Chris Gitsov in the qualifying session, although he did not set a flying lap. In fact, he only joined in right towards the end of the session, and apparently his game has been having some issues, and he's now left the server again, so I can only assume that those issues have continued. So not a good qualifying session at all for the Black Hawk Racing cars, although at least they're here, and of course we have 4 cars who aren't, unfortunately. Here is the circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Very fun track to drive if you have the setup and the car for it, and that long straight there separated by a couple of chicanes. That's basically what this circuit is. It's 2 hairpins and 2 long straights separated by a bunch of artificial chicanes, and it gives it quite almost like a Monza-esque feeling to it, if Monza had hairpins, which it doesn't. But it's also a street circuit. This course is not a permanent built race circuit, and that means that you have all sorts of road going rubber and other bits of detritus just lying around the place, as we are in the middle of the St. Lawrence River. Out of the final corner there, you see a stream of cars. That's the accident black spot of the circuit. A massive curb on the inside, a solid wall on the outside. It's known as the Quebec Wall, or the Wall of Champions. And you don't feel like a champion when you hit it, you feel like a right numpty. 58 laps coming up. It's going to be about 80% of a Grand Prix distance, and it should be a very tough one for the drivers' concentrations to keep focused all the way through. Menno, what do you think of this track?
Yeah, I really love it. Must say, in recent years, my luck here as a driver wasn't that great, but yeah, it's an amazing track, because it's not super hard to drive, but for some reason, it has something. It's hard braking zones. You can quite easily follow, but yeah, passing is a whole other thing, and yeah. lot of DRS. I believe there are 3 DRS zones, so that makes it a very, very interesting. And also, I think from a strategy point of view, this will be interesting because, yeah, do you want to push really hard and maybe do 2 pit stops, or you want to go for that 1 pit stop? Because this track has got a very let's say small pit lane, and actually the pit exit is very interesting because you will cut the whole first corner. So yeah, if you want to have a track which allows you to do a quite fast pit stop, it's this track. So we'll make it interesting strategy wise, but we will see what in the end will be the right strategy. While I'm not
Yes,
actually.
indeed. You cut
Yeah.
both the pit entry and the pit exit. Sorry, you cut a chicane on both the pit entry and pit exit when you come into the pits on the circuit. So that is a good thing to point out. There's George Sutton heading around the circuit on a warm-up lap, so you can see the Canadian Grand Prix circuit in Montreal, known as the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, used to be known as the Ile Notre Dame, before Gilles Villeneuve, of course, won here in 1978 in front of his home fans. It was his first ever Grand Prix victory, and then he went on, unfortunately, to die in 1982 in an accident at Zolder, and this track was then renamed after him in his honour. And his son, of course, raced here as well. I don't think won here, but raced here nonetheless when it was known as Circuit Gilles Villeneuve.
Yeah,
It's still used today for Grand Prix and the like.
And I believe still at the start-finish line, we will still have the words written "Salut Gilles," if I'm not mistaken. So that's actually a very interesting thing to, of course, share. But yeah, we shall actually see who will be the best here. Maybe we will see some Gilles Villeneuve kind of moves, because he was known about pushing the absolute limit out of the car without any fear. I must say, if you talk about fear, is I think one of the most difficult corners of the track is the final corner, because there are 2 anti-cut curbs, and you approach with such high speed that you always need to get your steering point for the last corner correct, and because it's actually a pretty fast corner, but not a very long corner, it's also affecting what kind of speed you can take out for the start-finish straight. So I think the most interesting point of the track is the final corner. And I do believe we will see a lot of overtaking around the final corner in braking and the first corner.
It's interesting because it should be a relatively easy circuit to overtake on, with its 3 DRS zones and extremely long straights, but it really isn't actually, because only one of those DRS zones ends in a heavy braking zone, which is this one here at turn 1. Even that's relatively quick because the curb is quite wide, and the circuit's quite wide as well. Heading into the final corner, it's a relatively heavy braking zone, but it's really not an overtaking opportunity unless you get all the way ahead of your opponent. And that means that even though the straight is long, that you can't really pass there unless you are so much quicker than your opponent that you can get fully ahead of them. The other little DRS zone have actually just been passed, and blink and you miss it. It's not even a straight, you're turning slightly to the right all the way through there. And there, the best that you can hope for is to follow your opponents, really. So it is a difficult circuit to overtake on. Definitely possible, it's not Monaco-esque, but even so, you do have to have a relatively willing partner in your opponent, and a little bit of a speed advantage as well. Now, in terms of the championship, Szymon Frelick comes in to this round with 100 points. He's only got 1 victory of the first 6 races, but he's been in the top 4 every single time, so his consistency has put him right at the sharp end. Luke Maguire is second in the championship, 15 points behind. He missed the Bahrain Grand Prix, but his 3 race victories so far, giving him a 50% win rate, has kept him up there despite. Jan Grangfist is third in the championship, but he is not here today. He is being replaced by Ruven Machedi for this round. I don't know why. I don't know whether Grangfist had prior commitments or whether the team want to try out Machedi in his place for some reason. But whatever the case, Machedi will be a strong replacement for that team, judging by his results in both FS2 and FS1, where I gave him Driver of the Day in both events. Pascal Pollens is 4th in the championship, Lewis Bickers is 5th, and then the rest of the top 10 are Jokabek Alalu, Sandeep Singh, Chris Butcher, Christian Pascal, and Dylan Platt. So those are the drivers you have to look out for. And there are 4 different winners so far in this championship. 3 of them are the top 3 in the championship, and Dylan Platt himself does have a victory, although his other races have been a little all over the place. Results have been a little sporadic, so we know that he's got it in him, but we don't know exactly when he's going to show that. There is, no, that's not Platt, that's his teammate Michael Ayres, out there on track right now in the other TR Geeks Energy car, and we have 1 minute and 30 seconds until we see the checkered flag on this warm-up session, and we can get ready to start 58 laps of racing here at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. So Menno, what are you expecting in terms of strategy today?
In terms of strategy, I think, yeah, that's a very good question. I do expect they will go, what should I say, I think around 20 laps on, at least on the reds, I think close to 20 laps, and I think then they want to finish the race on, I think, mediums or a hard. 2-stop could work, but I'm not sure if they will actually go for it. Of course, they test it, and maybe there is a bit of performance gain if you go for 2 stops. I mean, definitely there is, but I'm not sure if it's enough that you want to go for that. But we shall see. It's good to say that it will be very interesting with the DRS, because I believe we've got 3 DRS zones, but only 2 detection points. So if somebody gets DRS on the back straight, the straight before the final corner, and then they automatically will have DRS, I believe, on the start-finish straight. So people could actually overtake on the back straight and then still have DRS after, so that will make it look a bit strange, but that's actually possible. Well, I believe Caitlin just disconnected, so it's only me now, but yeah, we're just waiting for the race to be started, at least that we go to the race session.
I'm back.
And yeah, we've got Caitlin back just in time. So let's see. Yeah,
I posted, so I went to share the race around, the YouTube link, and I posted it in my Discord channel, and I thought, right, that's done, and I closed Discord.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Dropped out of the call.
Yeah.
So sorry about that.
Wow, that's okay. We didn't start, so we couldn't start without you. So you're still there, and yeah, Montreal. What will it bring this year?
Oh damn! Sorry, I've just checked the YouTube chat. Jan Grangfist has told us why he's not here. He's had a pedal failure, so he needs to get some new pedals in or something along those lines. I don't know if they're fixable, but it seems that he's had a complete pedal failure and hasn't been able to race here. So that is a big shame for Jan Grangfist, and it must have happened a little while ago actually, because I remember speaking to Ruven after his top performance in the FS1 race, and he said then very confidently, I will be racing in Superlights. So I don't know if he had a drive booked with a different team or whether he was set to take out the other Super Venturi car, but whatever the case, he knew he was racing then, and now of course he is, because Jan Grangfist is not able to make this round.
But Caitlin, it is nearly showtime. We're already to the race session, and I'm looking forward to see the whole grid forming up, and let's see if all 22 actually will start from the pits or from the grid, or that actually somebody wants to start from the pits. So let's see.
In terms of strategy, I am expecting 2 stops because I know that there is an advantage here if you do make 2 pit stops, and well, there is in theory, of course.
Yeah.
The difficulty is if you can't pass opponents who might get in your way, but at this circuit you can pass someone if you have a significant pace advantage over them. As here we see the grid, we've got Ruben Machete at the front alongside Michael Ayres, then Giuseppe Saracino and Pascal Schmidt. We'll run through the rest of the grid before I continue on with my point. Luke Maguire there, P5, and Shimon Frelick, P6. So the top 2 in the championship starting alongside each other on the grid. And then you have Chris Butcher and Oliver Perikian, I'm doing it again. Pascal Schmidt and Dylan Platt, P9 and P10. Igo Poom and Jukka-Pekka Lalu. Actually, watch out for Platt today. That's one of his best qualifyings in a while. And we know he's good in the race. It's Tom van der Voort, David Wasserman, Maxi Geisinger, so the 2 Mood Auto Concepts cars together, and then George Sutton as well in the Red Archer, Tej Kozowski and Patrick Rojak, and all Hyperion row, and then Owen Haugsvik and Ben Willis, and looks as if we've lost a driver, Chris Butcher. Chris Butcher's left the server, so Chris Butcher, who was set to start directly behind his teammate on the grid, inside the top 10, has dropped out of the server on the formation lap.
Yeah,
Chris Gitzov also not able to start this race. And there's a shunt further back in the pack. I just saw someone hitting the wall. I think it was Owen Haugsvik.
Yeah.
So a very messy formation.
And Tom van der Voort is lost his rear wing, and I believe...
Yes, and it was Oliver Perikian was involved. So something really dramatic has happened further back.
Dylan Platt as well. We've got several... Now, what I think has happened, I think it might be lag or something, because we've now got several incidents. So let's see what this will do. Actually, Chris
the race director says if you have damage, please escape and start from the pit lane. So he still intends to go forward with the race, despite all of the damage and the potential lag issues. But several of the drivers inside the top 10 are being affected by this. Chris Butcher has now joined in, but he's not going to be able to start the race if it stands like this. It says pending an open session, which means that he's in the server but doesn't have a car. So as it stands, we've got 20 cars set to take the start, although 3 of them not from the grid. Wasserman from 13th, Van der Voort from 12th, sorry, 4 of them, Dylan Platt from 9th, and Oliver Perikian from 7th.
And there we go, and
there go the lights.
Yeah, there's Ruven, who's still in the lead. We've got Michael Ayres side by side, and he's already going for the lead. Around the outside, now it's the inside, and Michael Ayres takes the lead, but Ruven is still there. And they go side by side like Verstappen and Hamilton.
Forced off into the grass did Ruben Machete there, but he's still in the race. There was a little touch between Ayres and Machete, but Ayres has got the move, so Ayres takes the lead. Machete is second, Saracino third, and then Pollens and Maguire. The rest of the field streaming through. The drivers who were in the pits have now joined the track at the back. There were 4 of them, and there's 3 wide in the back as well, as Perikian gets involved with Schiertzig and Willis. The 20 cars round the chicane, and there's a spinner, and Gajowski has hit the wall, and he's kept his wings just about, but he's definitely hit the wall in there somewhere. Now down the back straight, Slipstream Central is about to unfold, and we'll see if there are any changes to the order. The top driver on alternate tyres, Igo Poom, is actually on the full hards, and he is in 8th place. Pretty good first lap from him.
Yeah, so after 1 lap, it's Michael Ayres who's leading. Then it's Ruven Machete who dropped down from the pole position. It's Giuseppe Saracino who can follow quite good in P3. Pascal Pollens in P4 with Luke Maguire in P5. Simon Frelick, our current championship leader, now in P6.
Indeed, so the race continues. There's Ayres, Machete and Saracino, as you said, still leading this race. Gajowski is also still running, did not come into the pits despite his little incident a lap ago. So obviously, if he did make contact with the wall, it wasn't too heavy. And that's good news, because at this stage, anyone who's still running is still in the race. I've taken a look back, and it was the lightest brush with the wall with Gajowski, but he did it all by himself, just lost control under acceleration. Here comes a look. This is Pascal Pollens taking a look being attacked, by Luke Maguire, who goes up the inside and almost they do touch actually as they crowd each other into the grass. Shimon Frelic's now going to attack as well. He comes to the left-hand side of Pollens's car. Pollens looks quicker in a straight line, despite Frelic getting much more of a slipstream. So that'll be something to look out for. And they go into the chicane way over the curbs. And Pascal Pollens will come back at Luke Maguire here to the outside, and I think Maguire's giving it back. I think Maguire felt that he'd done it dirty, and decided to give 4th place straight back to Pascal Pollens.
Yeah, and I think that's fair, because from what I saw, he didn't give him enough room. I mean, it's always tight accelerating out of that corner, but there was not enough room. He pushed him a bit wide or a bit on the grass, and it's actually to avoid, I think, a penalty. They decided to give it back, and of course he's still on there, so he can maybe pass in a couple of laps, maybe with DRS. So I think smart from Luke.
His sportsmanship from Luke Maguire continues on in 5th position. Someone just dropped to the back there. Kajowski and Wasserman are side by side for 19, and there's a lot of fights going on up and down the order. Oliver Perikian up the inside of Owen Phil Haugsvik and gets through. Phil Haugsvik kicks out the rear. He was off the grippy line. Here comes Luke Maguire in the straight. Pollens' car very quick there, but he's been forced off the ideal line, and they almost run into each other on the exit as well. Little tap. Maguire will now have the inside line and the DRS, which is active now. He's up the inside. Ooh, and they keep it inside the track limits this time. So Luke Maguire has got 4th place, fair and square. Pollens under attack from Frelic.
Only just, because you saw just when Luke was steering in, it was more understeer than he had anticipated. But yeah, he left enough room for Pascal, and now he's gone. But if Pascal can stay close, of course, he can maybe re-attack him. So Luke is now pushing really hard to make sure that he's out of that second.
Indeed, yellow flags in sector 1.
Oh, it's
Gajowski again, and he's lost both of his wings, and that's at another accident black spot of the track. I guess turns 3 and 4 chicane. It's the exit of 4, which I think technically counts as 5 due to a little kick there. I don't know when it comes to corners, but yes, he's bounced off the barriers and lost both wings, and will try to rejoin and make it to the pit. Saracino has got past Ruben Machete, so Giuseppe Saracino up into 2nd place, slipstreaming on the straight, and Machete not able to come back to him on the exit. Saracino still has the DRS as a result of that only being, and Schmidt is off. Pascal Schmidt is facing backwards. He was in the top 10 as well, and he's off at the final corner and retires from the race.
Shame. Yeah, that's the problem with the final.
Rorschach into the pack. Saves it. Well, doesn't save it, but he saves it from slamming or being slammed by any of his opponents. As for Schmidt's accident, he hit the Quebec wall, lost his rear wing, and the car had no control after that. And he decided that going an entire lap without a rear wing was a recipe for disaster. So out of the race is Pascal Schmidt. Rorschach is now down into 16th position in this race, and Mateusz Gazowski has also not made it back to the pit lane. So 18 cars remaining in this race now. All of them still relatively close though. None of those 18 have been too badly affected by incidents. That was a bit of a twitch there from Saracino. Machete might have a go back at him this time around.
Yeah.
But he's still a little way off, won't be able to get him into the final corner. The trouble with the final corner as well is that you get bounced around in the dirty air of the car in front of you, and you find it harder to hit your mark. So it's actually quite difficult to set someone up for turn 1, especially if the car ahead of you has a fast setup like we know that Saracino does. We saw it with the overtake on Machete a couple of laps ago. This is allowing Ayres to get away. Ayres now leads by 2 seconds. Sutton and Perikian are now side by side for P10. There they are on the exit of P of turn 1, and there's a lag spike, and Luke Maguire's been badly affected by it. Luke Maguire has lost both of his wings, and there are other cars affected too. I believe that was a server-wide lag spike. There is Heiko Kuhn in the barriers. Ruben Machete is out of the race. Ruben Machete is out, and that was a server-wide lag spike. No fault of any of the drivers who have been affected. Ayres now leads from Saracino, Pollens, Frelick, and it will be Lalu, because Maguire is going to have to come back to the pits. Poom is out, Machete is out, and that is absolutely gutting. That's like several cars having a technical failure at exactly the same point in time. And I haven't seen that happen in sim racing for a little while, actually. We had server issues earlier on in the season, but they were enough that we had a red flag. Now in this race, everyone is just going to have to continue, and curse their bad luck, I guess.
Yeah, and drama for THR, because they looked so good, and now they've got loads of damage, and yeah, this is not good for Luke Maguire's championship hopes. But yeah, for others, it's of course really good. And look at Simon Frelick. Yeah, now he's ready up to P4.
No, I'm not sure it was a server-wide lag spike, because we saw something happen. Okay. But just before that, Machete was already losing control. He touched the wall on the exit of turn 4, and he was already spinning. Maguire appears to have hit him as a standard racing accident, and then the server started to lag. So I reckon that lag spike may have been caused by the accident. Yeah. I don't know if any of the drivers were affected by that necessarily. I think that
we've got another car stationary. It's Ben Willis, so now it's going pretty fast, and I believe we only got 15 drivers driving at the moment. And
that's such a shame. That really is. Poom may have gone off in avoidance actually, although I think it may have also been involved. I don't know. We'll have to check in with the drivers there. That could have just been a standard racing accident, and we simply won't know unless we're able to have a look or speak to the drivers about it directly. Anyway, for now we've just got to assume that it is what it is. Ayres leads from Saracino and Pollens, and I was unable to tell due to the lag that I witnessed on my side whether Pollens hit the wall or not in avoidance of the accident ahead of him. I think he may have done actually, because looking on board with his car, his steering is hanging over to the right. So I think Pollens does have light damage here, and I don't know. We'll have to keep an eye on whether that's going to affect him or not. But Pascal Pollens has been involved.
Yeah, and I'm asking our cameraman, can we have a replay maybe, or is that not?
Okay, he's gonna try to get us a replay, but we can't promise anything right now. I'm not sure that the replay is actually going to show anything of interest though, because on the broadcast it looked as if it was lagging as well. At the same time that I started to witness a lag spike. But from what I'm seeing on my side, it looked as if Machete was already losing control, and then it was when the contact happened that the lag spike started. So I think that might have been what happened there. But I tell you what, we may be able to speak to someone who might have a better idea of that. I'm a bit hesitant because I don't want to miss anything as the race is going on. But let's drag in Chris Butcher and talk to him quickly. Chris, I'm afraid your race is over before it started. How are you feeling?
Yeah, pretty gutted to be fair. You know, I've had my strongest qualifying that I had in a while. Race pace was pretty decent, and with Royal Blue only having.
Chris? Yeah. There we go. I believe we had a little bit of flag spike again.
Hello?
There we go. Yeah, we hear you.
Sorry, I think it was my microphone that was muted. Yeah. I think. Yeah, it was a great opportunity for us to close some points up in the team's championship, and it's just disappointing that happened. I think it was a server lag spike. I'm not entirely sure, but having sort of seen what I've seen on the stream, I think several other drivers have now retired with similar issues. So yeah, pretty disappointing to be honest. And I know it's out of everybody's control, but you know, it's frustrating when you put loads of effort into a race weekend, and then something that's just totally out of your control totally ruins it.
Do you think the race director should have restarted the formation lap to allow you to start the race?
Well, it's in that situation, it's always difficult to tell, because as far as I know, it was only myself that actually lost connection to the server at that point. But you know, having just watched a few bits of the stream back, and I've seen several instances of the cars lagging around, and a few people having incidents as a result of that. You know, I don't think we're too far into the race to consider that, but you know, ultimately, if the majority of people are still okay, then I guess on balance it's probably not fair on everybody else. I don't know, it's not my call to make really, but on a personal level, I would have obviously liked it to be restarted.
That's very understandable, and very noble of you to put that way as well, as you see Fabian Schmidt going side by side with George Sutton. Your teammate hasn't been having a great time out there, Chris. Do you know what's happened to him?
No, I've not been watching it, to be honest with you. I've just been trying to understand what sort of happened and whether it was an issue on my end or not. So yeah, I've just been sort of keeping out of the way, to be honest with you. So I don't really know.
Okay, well, thank you for speaking to us, Chris, and commiserations.
Cheers, Caitlin.
Yeah,
Okay, so while we've been speaking to Chris, sorry Menno, we've seen Phil Haugsvik come into the pits briefly. He is now still in the race. He is in 14th position and really hasn't dropped back that much actually, so still plenty of opportunity for him. Luke Maguire, meanwhile, just got a lap back on Giuseppe Saracino and appears to be catching the leader, albeit a lap down, but hopefully he can get past without holding anyone up too much. And here is that battle still, and Pollens is in the pits. So Pollens comes in from 3rd place, and Oliver Perikian has also made it into the pits. He comes in from P6. Sorry for the interruption, Menno, what were you going to say?
Well, we're already at lap 12, so it's going pretty fast. So yeah, this will of course make sure that they are doing a 2-stop. So let's see, Pollens now comes out of the pits. How long it will take for the leaders to go to the pits, I think they will be there quite soon. But look at the pace currently that Luke Maguire has. Of course he's a lap down, but now yeah, you just see with I think a bit fresher tires, then yeah, he is just going really quick. Even if it's 2 compounds hurry, yeah, he's doing a good job. Let's see how far he can come in the rest of the race while he now unlaps himself. So that's
Luke Maguire back on the lead lap of the race. Obviously still feels that he can get a meaningful result out of this race, and he can, because there's only 15 cars remaining, so wherever he finishes now, if he makes the flag, he will score points, and every position that he can make up from this point onwards will be another point or two for the championship.
yeah.
So as into the pits come Geisinger and Platt, so more cars coming in now. And kicking off the first pit window of the race. It looks as if there definitely are going to be 2 stoppers out there, because this is relatively early for 1 stops. And we should be keeping our eyes open for that.
Yeah, and Luke Maguire is really quick. His last lap time was more than 2 seconds faster than everybody else. So that's interesting. And now actually we've got Phil Haugsvik, who actually is doing a lap which is quite close to what Luke Maguire is doing, but of course he also just pitted, so getting
almost lining up Sutton there.
Yeah.
Sorry, Menno.
Yeah, no, it's very interesting. But also, it's very interesting is that Tom van der Voort is already in P7, so he started at the back of the pack because he had that incident in the warm-up lap. But yeah, he's working up his field on the field, and now he's in P7, and yeah.
Yep, and into the pits from the lead comes Michael Ayres, and Shimon Frelick's in from 3rd, but look at Fabian Schmidt to the outside of George Sutton, and they both spin, and they're in the middle of the track. Does everyone else avoid them? Just about. and they keep it out of the wall too. That was very lucky. Now we've got Van der Voort and Wasserman going side by side as a result of that. But yes, unfortunately, they have come together. So they've passed the leaders now, or the provisional leaders, although no, they haven't, sorry, because Ayres has exited the pits. That's just a few of the other drivers coming out further back. Frelick has just about beaten Schietzig to the pit exit, so that's one car he won't need to pass on track. And Schietzig and Sutton are now 8th and 9th and still haven't made their stops yet. That is going to cost them a lot of time and a lot of positions, I'm afraid. We have a lot of people in the interview room right now in this race. If it's okay, if any of you guys are listening right now, I don't want to do too many kind of back-to-back in-race interviews. As you see, Pollens there taking a look at David Wasserman. So if you could all wait until maybe halfway through the race or so, then I will be sure to get around to you guys. Nothing personal or anything like that, it's just normally we do the interviews towards the end of the race. Here comes Pascal Pollens to the inside of David Wasserman, and he flies past him with the DRS in the straight line. They both stay out of the pits and just about out of the wall. Pollens very high over the curbs. And they're under control. Giuseppe Saracino now leads this race by 13 seconds as he waits for as the other drivers behind him wait for him to come into the pits. George Sutton is in, and here's a replay of Schietzig, and this is the collision. Bang! Around they go over the curbs, and they are both very lucky not to have been cleaned up by the pack coming through behind them. There was a group of 3 that were battling hard and wouldn't have wanted to give up much ground, but they all managed to thread their way through the closing gap.
Yeah, they was just going for the same space, and then it happens. And actually, I think they were quite lucky that they didn't block the whole track. So actually, the other drivers who approached could have at least go around them quite good.
Saracino's in the pits. Ayres is currently passing Lalu, and the battle you're seeing there, that's Schietzig passing Van der Voort. But Ayres has now passed Lalu on track, meaning that when he crosses the start-finish line this time, he will once again lead this race overall. Michael Ayres back to the front. Giuseppe Lalu is yet to stop. He was the top driver on hard tyres for the majority of the first stint. Not anymore, of course. Ayres has gone on to hard tyres in this race. Giuseppe Saracino is going to beat Pascal Pollens to the pit exit. No real surprise there, although I think the gap has come down a little. Tom Van der Voort came into the pits. Frelick was able to pass him before he came in, actually. So Frelick gaining some time in all of that. And David Wasserman also still yet to stop inside the top 5.
Which is really good stuff. But yeah, after 16 laps, it's still Michael Ayres who's leading. And it's kind of the kind of race Michael Ayres wants to drive. Relaxed but pushing very hard. So yeah, it looks very good. But yeah, for now it's Giuseppe Saracino who is still pretty close on his tail. And they have the same tire compound, so that will make it interesting. Maybe to the end, but yeah, we shall see.
Indeed, so the race continues. Luke Maguire has the fastest lap of the race so far, and whoever gets fastest lap in this race, so long as they don't DNF before the minimum race distance, they will get a point for fastest lap. We've had a bit of a trend in Super League this year, where the driver who scores the fastest lap of the race doesn't get a point for it because they finish outside of the top 15. That doesn't look as if it's going to be, well, it can't possibly be the case today. The only way that they wouldn't score a point is if they retired now or before the minimum race distance, because then they wouldn't be classified and they wouldn't score points at all. So Michael Ayres leading by 3 seconds now over Giuseppe Saracino. The gap has come out dramatically between he and Giuseppe Saracino in that pit stop. I noticed that the gap had come down between Saracino and Pollens, but look at the gap between Saracino and Ayres right now. It's out to about 7 seconds, despite being about 2 before the pit window. Ayres is a lot more comfortable now than he was. There is Phil Haugsvik on the back of Maxi Geisinger. That's for position as we talk, and they will probably end up about 7th and 8th in this race at this rate. I say that, but we are still very, very early on in proceedings, and Frelick is passing David Wasserman, and he goes up into P5 there in the chicane.
Well, Wasserman tries to fight back, but no, he can't do anything into turn 1, so it's Simon Frelick now in P5. And yeah, with all his main rivals not racing or hit trouble, yeah, he's in a very good position. He doesn't need to win, because it will always be a gain for him in points. He just needs to have a solid result, which will help him. So I guess that's what he's trying to do.
Indeed, through the middle sector of the road, the car of Giuseppe Saracino goes, and we're looking at Shimon Frelick, who's a few cars back, leaning on Pascal Schmidt, who will be his next target. Now that he's cleared David Wasserman, he has quite a big section of clean air in front of him. It does mean he won't be getting the slipstream on the straights, and also won't be getting the DRS, but it will still benefit him through the corners as he enters the back turn. There is Oliver Perekian now on the tail of Fabian Schiertzek, and congratulations me, I didn't call him Olivier for once. He has the DRS open, goes to the inside, and P7, that's very hot though, look at that. Oh, he makes it. Very good stuff from Oliver Perekian. It looks as if he was going to fly straight across the runoff area on the inside, but he has made the move now. And the lead gap is out to 5 seconds as Air continues to pull away from Lalu, who is still yet to stop.
And I hope we can get an onboard from, let's see, Simon Frelick into the last corner, because I noticed the last couple of laps he is actually working that final corner and jumping the cut curb. So I would like to see how that is on board, if that is as a roller coaster ride what you would expect. Yeah, he was very aggressive over the curb, so it was a showdown, I guess.
Machete has now confirmed in the YouTube chat that he did just lose control. It wasn't as a result of any kind of lag spike or anything like that. I'm afraid he just didn't have the confidence in the car and he lost it. So unfortunately, a mistake from Ruben Machete has ruined both his race and that of Luke Maguire's. But it happens, and to be honest, Machete has been so impressive over the last week that we can let him off for that one.
Yeah, and getting back on somebody who was really sure of himself was Simon Frelick, because we saw him going into the final corner with a lot of commitment. He knew the car was going to turn, and I jumped the curbs there as a belly dancer. So that was amazing to see. So yeah.
What you're seeing there is a replay of Oliver Perekian passing Fabian Schiertzek for P7 in this race, which is where he stands right now. So Saracino is now caught up to the back of Lally, and will want to demote him as quickly as he possibly can to stop Ayres from getting any further up the road. Lalu still has the potential to go for a one-stop strategy here. He's running long enough into the race, but I think at this stage it's pretty certain that's what he's aiming for. He is on hard tyres though, meaning that his next set will have to be softer, and therefore potentially won't be able to go quite as long. David Wasserman is into the pits, and I'm a little interested actually, because what he does here may indicate what Jukka-Pekka Lalu will do when he comes into the stop. I'm expecting mediums. Maybe mediums can last the 37 laps that are still to go in this race. He's actually on another set of hards, so it looks as if Wasserman is now committing to a two-stopper, and he'll have to, because you have to use two dry sets, two different compounds of dry tyres.
Oh, and we've got Rossack spinning, and I believe that's the end of Rossack's race. Rossack's out because he lost it into the first corner, and yeah, it's no points for Hyperion Racing, so zero points.
The second time that he's spun at that corner today. He does not like the Oh, and look at Saracino going for Lalu up the inside, backs out of it, Lalu into the pits. Oh, and Saracino was so distracted by that he has flown over the curbs on the inside. And now Collins is even closer than he was before. Within a second of Saracino, he's in DRS range. So that there proves, first of all, why you want to get past your drivers on different strategies so quickly. Owen Phil Haugsvik and Fabian Schiertzek are now also in the pits, by the way. It also means that the battle for P2 has been spiced up now. Ez will be rubbing his hands with glee as soon as he finds out that that's happened from his race director or whoever he's speaking with in a Discord call right now. If indeed he is, he might just want complete silence. I don't know how these drivers operate on an individual basis. Here's a replay now, and this will be of Patrick Grosjean's accident. You'll see him just loop it around almost, well, very early to lose it in turn 1. Looked if he may have touched the curb slightly, and the rear was not happy about it. Around he went, and backwards into the wall. His rear wing departed, and like I said earlier, you don't want to do an entire lap without a rear wing. So that is race over for Patrick Grosjean, who was on course for some points. As we go back to live timing, there are the top two of the top 3, Giuseppe Saracino and Pascal Schmidt, second and third, but right together.
Yeah, they're really close. And look at this battle. We've got another battle for P6, and yeah, Dylan Platt is now doing a very good job in P7 and chasing Maxi Giesinger. But yeah, in front is still Michael Ayers, and yeah, he looks so calm and cool and collected with this, and yeah, he's just just doing all the laps and being relaxed about it, and yeah, that's another one done. That's another one done. Next, and yeah, his lap times are quite impressive. I believe he doesn't have the fastest lap, but he was very close.
And Jukka-Pekka Lalu is on another set of hards according to my screen, meaning that it will be hard, soft for both Lalu and Wasserman, and there will be no single stop strategies in this race. That is, unless any of the drivers who have already made a stop in this race have suddenly decided to make an extremely long second stint, but that is very, very unlikely considering the point in the race where they actually did decide to make their first stop. So, who's close together on track? Well, Ayers and Saracino certainly aren't. Saracino is under much more pressure from Collins, although gained a bit on that last lap. The gap is now out to about 1.4 between the two of them. It's a bit of a gap back to Frelich and another gap back to Barikian, etc. with Geisinger close with Platt. They're the 3 cars you're looking at right now, because Jukka-Pekka Lalu on fresh tyres is sitting behind them, the Red Arrow Racing car. This is the top battle for position in this race, the scrap for 6th place between these three drivers. Looking at the lap driver setting as well, Maguire's fastest lap is as he now re-passes Michael Ayers. So again, Luke Maguire has unlapped himself to our race leader. That's the second time in the race he's had to do that. But yes, his fastest lap is just a few hundredths of a second. It's just 1.1 hundredth of a second faster than Michael Ayers' fastest lap at this point in
got a
the
battle for
race.
P6, and it's Dylan Platt.
There we go.
Goes for it.
He's made it stick, so Platt did get himself far enough ahead of Maxi Geisinger.
And look at Pekka Lalu.
Final turn, and Lalu with the slipstream might follow him through here. He's got the DRS as well. Geisinger doesn't, because he was leading that pack, and they touch, and off the road goes Maxi Geisinger. He's going to have to rejoin, and he avoids the tail of Jukka-Pekka Lalu just.
Ooh, let's see if we can see that back, if that's possible, because I think it was just under braking they lost it. It was not an intentional pushing off, I believe. Let's see, difficult. Maybe Maxi turned in a bit to the early part, so that's, he was already there. Pekka couldn't do anything here, I think. he was already there when Maxi turned in. So yeah, he went
felt
up.
so too, because he has
Yeah.
continued on in 7th position. So Jakob Ekalalu 7th, Maxi Geisinger 8th. They have a gap back to Tom van der Voort, who is 9th right now. Van der Voort in his own little battle with David Wasserman, who is catching him, and there you see the two of them. Wasserman will be catching him because he is on fresher tyres than Van der Voort ahead of him. And the race continues. Saracino in the lead battle, but not by that much at this point in time. We'll have something further change around. Owen Haugsvik just past George Sutton for P11, and continues on in that position now. And on Luke Maguire watch, he is now in 30 seconds of Schützig ahead. Still a long way to go if he's going to gain any more places in this race, but to be honest, just by continuing in this race, he's already gained a place over what he would have done if he'd retired when he'd had the incident. He is P14, and that's double the points of P15, of course, 2 compared to just the 1. So, as Saracino, Pollens, Alec and Parakian is the order. The race has settled down a bit. I wonder if any of our potential interviewees want to come in. I'll message Igo, because he's been sitting in there for the longest. I don't want to just drag anyone in unless they're engrossed in conversation waiting for us, but anyway. 3 people in the interview room have been in there for a little while now. A lot of people with a lot of stuff to say about this race so far. It was a very chaotic first half to the race. We're now almost half the way through, just a couple more laps until the halfway distance so far. And it was always guaranteed to settle down, to be honest, because so many cars have already dropped out, Menno.
Yeah, which is very, very sad. But yeah, you've got those races where a lot of things are happening, and yeah, this is one of those races. So yeah, that's
Indeed.
that's.
Let's talk to Heigo Poom, shall we? Heigo, unfortunately, your race is over. Can you explain to us how that happened?
No, it happened. I'm not entirely sure. I was in the formation lab. We already had issues with was it Butcher? Yeah, Butcher disappeared. Hit was it Oliver in front of me? So that gave me 2 positions. I was like really happy. I had hard tires. I was on B8. So the race started nicely. After Pascal made a mistake in front of me, I got another position. It was really looking up, and then something happened with the server. A few laps later, the cars just disappeared, and when they came back, there was a blue car right in front of me. I had nothing to do anymore, except release my direct right steering wheel so I don't get hurt. So yeah, and a second later I was stuck in a fence. So that's something.
That's seriously unlucky. Well, I expected that might have been the case because so the car you saw sideways was already having an accident before that all happened. And I think it may have been the accident itself that triggered the lag spike, because it all started when the 2 cars ahead of you made contact. It's just a shame that you then had to be picked up as a result of that, as we see Pascal Pollens going for a move on Dylan Platt. So I asked a question to Chris Butcher earlier, which is, does he think that the race should have been restarted after the chaotic formation lap? I presume that you have a very different view on that to him, because it very much helped you out.
You can look at it in multiple ways. I think in the formation lab, if it's just 1 or 2 cars, I don't think it's worth restarting the entire thing for it. It's possible. I wouldn't mind it, because Chris got taken out unfairly, and the person who collided with him also got taken out unfairly. So I wouldn't mind if there's a restart. But what I do think is when we were consistently having issues, cars were disappearing a few laps in, and then my issue. At that point I do think it would have been better to restart, but it's a difficult decision. I think now we have. Right now when you finish, you're getting points. So a lot of cars have been collected. So.
Yes,
Yeah.
also Hygo, sorry, we just had a move there from Pascal Schmidt going up into 5th position ahead of Giuseppe Saracino as he continues to chase back the position that he was in before. Sorry for the interruption there, Hygo. Have you been watching this race since your retirement? What are you noticing about it at this point?
I've been watching on and off. I'm rooting for Lalu. Because he was a fellow hard tire runner. So I really wanted to see how being the first person who was able to pick an alternate strategy would have worked out for me. And he was the second person. So that's what I've been paying attention to. I see it's now 6th place, so doing good. Of course, Iris is taking a commanding lead right now. Happy for him. I think the server as well has calmed down now. I haven't spotted that many jumping on the cars as it was at the start of the race.
Indeed, it is looking better now. But yeah, commiserations that your race had to end in such a disappointing way. Thank you for speaking to us though, Hygo.
Yeah, thank you for getting here.
Okay, so that was Hygo Poom. While you've been talking, we've seen a couple of overtakes, a few notable. Pascal Schmidt is back in the pack now, back in 5th position. Still a contender for a podium in this race, but he's going to have to push hard from that one, Menno.
Yeah, still a contender. So yeah, we're already halfway, and it went actually on pretty fast. So yeah, halfway. And do we see where this is going? Well, it seems to be TR and Michael Ayers are doing a very good job. But also look at Giuseppe Saracino. I believe he never scored Superlights podium. Will this be the first time he scores a very good result here? We shall see. And Simon Verleck now in P3, but we're not there yet.
Giuseppe Saracino, I thought he had scored a podium before. His best result this season is 8th, but I'll have to look that up on the site quickly. Whatever the case, he's been a little unlucky so far this season. Hollands is now on the back of Barikian, and going through on the inside, through into 4th place. It's the move stick. No real surprise there. They're on very different strategies. Hollands on fresh mediums, which he's hoping to take to the end of the race now. Barikian, I expect, will still make a stop later on. But Barikian's doing an excellent job up into P5 despite that incident on the formation lap. And yeah, that's as good as he could possibly be expected at this point in the race. Still, of course, slightly out of position due to the strategy. But I mean, 7th or 8th is certainly not off the cards for him. I mean, maybe a 6th place if something happens to someone ahead of him. Sorry, man, just looking up Giuseppe Saracino to see what his former results in GPVWC Super League have been. Indeed, he's done Super League Lights for a few seasons, or Superlights as it's now known. His best results have been, was a 6th place at USA back in 2020. And his only podiums in GPVWC have come in the Academy Series, and then one in Sprint 1 as well.
We've got a pass for P8. It's David Wasserman passes his teammate Maxi Giesinger, who nearly runs into the back, but that was still, I think, measured. So Maxi Giesinger is now in pits.
Giesinger in the pits, and I mean, I'm a little surprised him giving way to Giesinger so easy there. It looked to be a relatively straightforward swap, although Giesinger about to come into the pits anyway, so maybe he just had a bad run coming out the corner. He goes on to another set of HUDs and will run to the end of the race on those. And I keep going to say what every driver's likelihood of points are, but at this stage it's almost 100% to be honest. It's if you finish, you score. Here is a replay of Geisinger being passed by Wasserman, who had the DRS and was able to go through, and then into the pits came Maxi Geisinger after almost running into the back of his teammate. They are absolutely okay though, both of them got away with it. The gap for the lead, and Lalu gets past Parikian, so Lalu makes a move for 5th position, and now Parikian pits. So Oliver Parikian decides not to do a lap with the car directly in front of him, holding him up, and will be his last stop of the day. There is Pascal Pollens, 10 seconds behind Shimon Frelich. I tell you what, it's going to be difficult to catch him. Has Frelich made his second stop yet though? I don't think he... No, he hasn't, so ignore me, my apologies. His last stop was on lap 13, so I very much doubt that he will be going to the end on that. And I think Pollens is still in a good position for a podium. I tell you what, Pollens, with his early pit stop there, going for quite a mega undercut on Saracino potentially. Do you reckon this might work, Menno?
I'm not sure. Well, I see a car that is parking. There's a car with problems. It's George Sutton. Oh, that looked like a reboot of some sort, I think.
So he stopped to the side of the road and then something and continued. I wonder whether he maybe had a pop-up on his screen he had to escape from.
Yeah,
like that.
A hardware issue, or maybe a wheel issue or something, or maybe a pop-up. And but if it was a pop-up, then I find it he parked it really good. But yeah, maybe we'll find out after the race. But he's still in there, so it was like.
It's very deliberate, wasn't it? Slowed his car down and then pulled it to the side of the road, completely in control. He hasn't had an accident or whatever, he's just had some kind of issue that needed seeing to, and that has unfortunately dropped him off the lead lap. So 13 cars still on the lead lap in this race, and George Sutton is down to last position. Here is Giuseppe Saracino, 5 seconds behind the leader, but on average lapping faster than Michael Ayres at this point. It's been the pit stops and the pit strategy that have been the hold back for Giuseppe Saracino so far in this race. I wonder how much of that was the pit entry actually, because you can gain or lose a lot on pit entry here, depending on when you decide to put on the brakes. As Parikian is about to make a move on Van der Voort at the inside, and that's one of the rare occasions where that third DRS zone does actually come in handy, Menno.
Yeah, you're not seeing a lot of overtakes there because it's very difficult to get the car stopped for the next corner. But yeah, he did a very good job to pass him there, and yeah, the other driver just gave him a bit of room to play with. So fair overtake. Let's see if he can stay ahead.
Michael Hart exits the pits is 6, so Dylan Platt there I think has genuinely jumped him, hasn't he? Let's look at have a look at Platt's race.
Yeah, I think Platt needs to go for I think a second pit stop as well.
Yes,
so...
he was stopped on lap 12, my apologies. So Platt still also needs to stop. Frelich probably still in the net top 5, as Jukka-Pekka Lalu is on a very alternate strategy to all of these cars around him. Now the gap between Pollens and Saracino is about 17 seconds at this point in time. Let's see what their lap times are. Saracino's last few laps.
Leader is in. Michael Ayres is
into
in
the pits, and Saracino stays out. So Saracino will temporarily lead the race for the first time today. Michael Ayres will go on to either hards or mediums, and we'll go to the end on those.
And it's hards.
Set of hards. As I was saying, Pollens' gap to the leader is about 17 seconds. So I'm wondering whether he can jump ahead of Saracino when Saracino comes into his stop. He is gaining time because Saracino's last few laps have been quite inconsistent in the high 114s, and Pollens' laps have been in the low 114s. So I think Pollens and Saracino are going to be very, very close when Saracino comes out of his box, maybe side by side.
Yeah, well, and I think it will not be that close actually. I think yeah, Saracino should be quite a bit behind
well, you don't lose that much time in the pits at this circuit.
Yeah,
And
that's
at
true.
most circuits, you lose maybe 20 to 30 seconds. Here, I mean, 17 seconds is not completely unreasonable for a trip through the pit stop.
No,
Olivier
that's true.
Perikian, sorry, passing David Wasserman, and I called him Olivier again. My apologies. Through into
And
P7.
yeah, we're now having a fight for P5. It's Dylan Platt and Simon Frelick. Well, Dylan Platt, of course, with his older ties cannot hold this. Oh, and Simon Frelick has got DRS, so that's quite easy pass. And yeah, Dylan is now trying to stay in the slipstream for as long so that he can benefit a bit with the actual lap time. So he didn't lose too much there. And a very good lap time from Simon Frelick, who's now going to try to catch Pekka Laulu.
And he got the DRS in the second part of the straight as well, despite already being past Dylan Platt. That's the advantage of passing someone before the chicane. You can pull away from them on the exit due to the single DRS detection zone that governs both of those DRS activation zones. There is Shimon Frelick already pulling away quite dramatically from Dylan Platt in this race, and catching up to Laulu, who will probably pit at some point in the next few laps. He will have to. I mean, I thought earlier on that he was going for a one stop, but Laulu still needs to put on a softer compound of tyre by the rules of the race, and there are the tyre compounds. Drivers on hards, and Pascal Schmidt is the top driver on mediums. I mean, this stint that Schmidt is doing, it's got to be quite a tough ask to make the medium tyres go 29 laps in. I know that's a little risky, isn't it?
Yeah, that's risky, but I think still doable. If you just treat them well at the beginning, they will be not be showroom fresh, but they will be still a bit of life in them at the end of what you're planning. So yeah, if you nurse them well, then it's definitely doable. Well, I now see Dylan Platt coming out of the pits in P9, and he is still very close to P8. So maybe it's another top 8 on the cards for Dylan Platt.
I think so, definitely. Both of the TR Greeks looking very, very fast today, with Ayres on course for what looks to be a win, although I'm saying that way too early.
Well, Saracino is in. Saracino is in. So let's see what Pascal Schmidt, what he will do. How much it will change. Yeah, Schmidt will easily be ahead of Giuseppe Saracino. I think he's got quite a bit of margin. Yeah.
Saracino has the advantage on the pit exit, but Pollens is already through. So Pascal Pollens has jumped, convincingly so. Giuseppe Saracino, who is now also on the medium set of tyres. Saracino has got to hope that Pollens drops off the cliff basically towards the end of the race with his tyres, because there's about 4 seconds advantage over Giuseppe Saracino. The gap for the lead as well, down to about, it's under 5 seconds now between Ayres and Pollens, so much closer than it was before. Is Dylan Platt about to potentially jump into the top 8, Owen Phil Haugsvik into the pits, and yes, Dylan Platt I think probably will score a top 8 today. Needs to pass Fabian Schiertzig though, but Schiertzig is also still yet to make his second pit stop of the race. 18 laps to go in this one, and it's Ayres leading from Pollens, Saracino, Laulu, Frelick, Perikian, Wasserman, Schiertzig, Platt and Geisinger, with plenty of those positions subject to change due to cars still having to make pit stops and potential overtakes and incidents that will take place in the remainder of this race.
Yes, but I believe I'm already seeing that Giuseppe Saracino is much quicker than Pascal Schmidt now, and of course with new tires. I can see his third sector was quite a bit faster, so he's hunting down Pascal Schmidt, but of course he's not there yet. So we should look into that in a couple of laps. Then we've got
does get Schiertzig. There he goes.
Yeah, it was a very good move, and now you see he's just walking away with DRS because there's only one detection zone. So Dylan Platt now in P8, and will he get into the top 7. The other car is not that far in front, but still a little bit. So not sure if there's enough time for him to move up and get another position.
So, fastest lap still going the way of Luke Maguire as it stands, and he's improved it still. 1:13.460 is his current lap. He's about 7 seconds behind Oliver Phil Haugsvik, or Owen Phil Haugsvik, so still a chance to make up a position or two. But Saracino now beats his fastest lap. Saracino flying, trying to get back up with Pascal Pollens on those fresh medium tyres. 13.316 has got to be one of the fastest race laps ever set at this circuit in any category. Gino is gaining actually. Pascal Pollens later in the life of those medium tyres, and the last lap is anything to go by. They could be on top of each other in no time really. There's Frelick taking a lot of curves, almost getting airborne. The front two wheels of his car completely off the ground, and not doing much steering from up there. But anyway, lands and continues and keeps it out of the barriers. He is still in 5th position in this race, and well, judging by the fact Maguire is struggling so much in this race, Frelick will be relatively pleased with this result, I think.
Yeah, I think he will be really happy if he can get P4, P5. It's another few points on the board, and I think that's all what matters. Well, I see Pascal Pollens make a big mistake, and he jumps the final corner, which makes it a very easy pass for Giuseppe Saracino. No, not that easy, but he passes for P2, so it's Giuseppe Saracino now in P2 with Pascal Pollens in P3, and I think Pascal Pollens still needs to make a pit stop. And I would suggest he does that quite soon, and then we shall see what is still possible.
That would be dramatic, a 3-stopper from Pascal Pollens. He's certainly struggling now. He's dropped behind Giuseppe Saracino. There has been a change for 2nd position. And judging, as Wasserman and Schitze come into the pits, but judging by the pace that Giuseppe Saracino is showing right now, there is no way that Pascal Pollens is going to be able to keep up with him. Saracino and Ayres are separated by 7 seconds, and we have 15 laps to go, so he needs to gain by about a second every 2 minutes or so in order to catch Michael Ayres. It's doable but tricky, I guess. Looking at their last few lap times, he's got the pace for it, but the race really does change lap by lap, and we can't really project that right now. Shimon Frelick is catching up to Jaakko-Pekka Laulu. This is what you're seeing on screen, and it's the fight for 4th position. Goes up the inside. Ooh, and Laulu comes into the pits. That's why he appeared to go flying straight on, because that is the pit entry on the left-hand side, and Pollens is in. So Pollens has decided to stop for the 3rd time. His gamble in going for an early set of mediums has not worked, and that means that Shimon Frelick is probably genuinely on course for a podium now.
Yeah, and Oliver Pelikian is now in P4. So I am now going to look into when they made the last pit stops. And the last pit stop for Simon Frelick was in lap 35. So I think with that he can go to the end of the race. But
yes, and it was lap 33 for Parikian. So I think that what you're seeing here is the net order between the top 5 at least. And the top 6, because Laulu's come out in 6th. Now here it is from on board Pollens. This is the time he went off, and Bell even tried to make that corner. I mean, he realised that he was in trouble as soon as he began to turn, possibly even in the braking zone, and cut the corner, and straight across it he went into, or still in P5, has lost 2 positions in all of that from what looks set to be a podium finish earlier on in this race. He is the only driver who's really challenged Michael Ayres so far since Ruben Machedi had his accident with Luke Maguire. And unfortunately now it looks as if that won't be the case for the lead of the race, because Pollens is 27 seconds back. Probably will still be able to catch Oliver Parikian before the end. I think we're about to see a battle for 4th potentially, and they've got a little bit of traffic coming up as well, which could be the catalyst for that. Keep your eye on this one. We're on board with Pascal Pollens through the end of the 1st sector of the lap. Maguire, meanwhile, has gained his fastest lap back, 1:13.180. So a little bit of a fastest lap battle going on between he and Giuseppe Saracino.
Yeah.
And
But
both of them in the low 1:13s.
yeah, Poland and Lalu are putting in green sectors, so they are really going really fast. And of course, with new tires, that's logical. But yeah, I think Pascal Poland is still in the hunt for a podium position, but it all depends how long he can have the pace advantage on this newer and softer set. Well, I now passes for
There he
P4.
is. Inside and gets ahead way before the braking zone. Pascal Pollens retakes P4 on fresh mediums, and now he's got 8 seconds to catch before he catches Szymon Frelich. Again, still doable, but very, very difficult. And now he's got the traffic. That's George Sutton. He's a lap down. And Sutton not getting out the way in turn 2. Does so on the exit.
Yeah.
So
to give you an idea, Pascal Poland was 1.5 seconds faster than Szymon Frelich the last lap. So
yes.
it all depends how long can he keep this up.
And he's the fastest driver that we've seen today. Pascal Poland, 1:13.124. The battle for fastest lap has been fought over hundreds and thousands, but even so, Pascal Poland holds it for the time being with again an extremely fast lap time for race conditions, and they're going to get even faster for the Super League race, which has had where the cars have had more development, and the drivers are theoretically even better. And that will take place in 2 days' time, so you won't want to miss that if you like record-breaking times. Sutton actually has the DRS on Perekian's rear, and Perekian's in the pits. So Oliver Perekian does make another stop, and I wasn't expecting that because his last stop was on lap 33. But then again, look at that, he's on soft tyres. So obviously deciding to go for another set of softs before the end. And yes, my apologies, I completely missed that. So Jukka Kalali now up into P5.
Yes, and I think Oliver wants to have that fastest lap as well. And with this tire, it's possible he will be lightning quick, but he doesn't have a lot of time to at least catch the other guys.
I think he'll get it. I mean,
yeah,
his fastest lap so far is in the first half, the lower half of the 1:13s. Just as the fastest lap is, so he's not that far off. And with fresh soft tyres and the lowest fuel that he's had all race so far, yeah, he's going to be absolutely flying out there.
Yes. So the running order after 48 laps is Michael Ayers in P1 with Giuseppe Saracino in P2. Szymon Frelich now still in P3, but Pascal Poland is hunting him. But yeah, it seems to be that Szymon Frelich has got enough to play with. He now does a 14.4, so 14.4 for Frelich, and Pascal Poland does a 13.9, so only half a second this lap, only half a second.
Now, what our broadcast director was showing us there, and thank you very much, Tom Stevens, was that Oliver Perekian, as he goes over the curves very heavily, Perekian very clearly cut the pit exit line. Now, I think he'll be okay with that. I think the stewards aren't as strict on that as you see in the real world of motorsports. They definitely used to be here at GPVWC, but I think that they've changed the way that they go about monitoring pit exits. But if it is reported, then he may be in a little bit of trouble, Oliver Perekian. So Tom Stevens has done him no favours there. But anyway, yeah, thank you very much for the broadcast anyway, Tom. We very much appreciate what you do. So, 9 laps to go in this race now. And Perekian is in 7th place, a little way back from Dylan Platt, who's been driving very well in 6th position.
Yeah, and now Luke Maguire is getting closer and closer to the back of Owen Vilhousvik. And can Luke Maguire then take P12? It looks like he is close to do so. So this is, I believe, Ireland versus Norway. This would also be a very good rugby match. I've got no idea, but let's see what will happen now. Luke Maguire, of course, has got DRS, so it's quite easy overtake around outside, and yeah, with DRS There he goes, and Owen knows it, and Owen just, just let it happen. And he knows I want to have that P13 and the 3 points for that. And Luke Maguire now in P12. And 1:13.0, and Luke Maguire now got the fastest lap back, and that was because he got the DRS from Owen Quillhausvik and a clean overtake. So the point for the fastest lap now is again back at Luke Maguire.
Still only by thousands though. I love watching people fighting for fastest lap, because even though it's not the main priority of the race, it's so tense and so close. And sometimes it can happen on the very last lap of the race. Talking of that, only this lap and 8 others to go now, with Air still leading 6.5 seconds as we stand. Saracino has built up the gap to about 17 seconds ahead of Shimon Frelich. And yes, there's a big gap between second and third places in this race. 13 cars still on the lead lap, 14 still running in total. I'm surprised by how little traffic we've had today. Quite a short track here, but everyone here quite evenly matched as drivers, all experienced and strong. Even the youngsters here have been driving for many years now, and would have started when they were basically not quite toddlers. That's a bit of an exaggeration, but very, very young. You can tell that in their lap times. Actually, there's not a single driver out there who hasn't set a lap in the low 114s at least. Fastest drivers in the low 113s right now. Luke Maguire 113.053, and some potential for some of these drivers to get even faster.
Yes, and I'm now looking. So the last lap of Simon Frelich is a 14.3, and the last lap of Pascal Polens is a 13.6. So he's getting closer and closer, Pascal Polens, but he is not there yet. But he can nearly see, or I think he can see Simon Frelich at some of the corners, and he's catching him with 7 laps or 8 laps to go. So we're not there yet. The fear I have
there.
Yeah.
Sorry, there was Geisinger being passed by both Van der Voort and Wasserman. And Van der Voort's initial move there was fantastic around the outside into the final chicane. Made it stick, and David Wasserman said, okay, well, looks like your tyres are gone or your concentration's gone. I'm going to have a go at him. I'm not going to let him get away. So that's why David Wasserman is now ahead of Geisinger as well, and sticking to the back of Tom van der Voort as he attempts to disappear into the distance.
So next lap of Frelich is a 14.7, and the next lap of Poland is a 13.5. So another second loss for Frelich, and I think with his lap times he is struggling, and there is all to play for. I think Poland is on for a podium, Caitlin.
I'm not sure. He's obviously faster than Frelich. And look at this. This is David Wasserman up the inside of Tom van der Voort. It's through. It didn't even matter that it was the inside because there was no corner involved in that one. But yeah, Pollens is quite clearly quicker than Frelich at this point in time, but we are running out of laps now. Lap 52 out of 58, and the gap between them is about 4 seconds. He'll be close. I mean, overtaking is a whole different matter, but he can do it.
Yeah, the thing I fear is with Pascal is, of course, he's on the faster tire and pitted later, but will the tires give this amount of performance until the end? That's the question. If he can have this performance until the end, I think I give him a good chance. Let's see the next lap time. So Simon Frelich now does 1:14.3, so he's a bit quicker. He's responding 14.3 and 13.8, so that's half a second that Poland is getting back. But he's getting closer, and yeah, it's another half a second. I think it is doable, but yeah, I think it's all about what Frelich can do. If Frelich can stay on around the 14.0, then it will be very difficult for Poland. But if he will be slower than a 14.0, then it will be very hard. And yeah, I see Simon is pushing his maximum, so I'm not sure if there is more in. And will he then lose that podium? That would be very interesting. And I guess not too bad for the championship, but yeah, if you're so close for a podium, you of course want to get it.
Would he lose it?
I think he might, but yeah, we're close to the finish. Only probably 5 laps to go, but Schum is pushing really hard also over the curb like he did the whole race. So the next lap is a 14.3 and Poland's does up 13.7. So that's another half a second. Yeah, he is getting closer. He's getting closer, and yeah, he needs to be in DRS, and then yeah, I think it will be quite easy. But yeah, he's not there yet. So.
There's quite a lot of time he took out of him there. But
We've got a
timer. Oh,
we got a good fight for P10. It's Fabian Sirzik against Maxi Giesinger, and Fabian breaks later and makes it.
good stuff, good stuff. Fabian Schmidt very much impressed me at Azerbaijan. Had one little mistake, but aside from that was awesome. Very nearly scored his first podium in the wet. And Shimon Frelich ended up winning that race in the same conditions. That was also extremely impressive. Here is Perekian following Dylan Platt. And this is the best that we've seen Platt drive since that win that he took at Estoril. With a hairpin they go. A straight next and a big kick of oversteer from Oliver Perekian. The rear wheel spinning up, the car not finding traction. Even though he has the DRS open now, will not be being pulled quite as much as if he got a better exit than that. Through the chicane he goes.
Yeah. They both got DRS.
Lapping George Sutton.
Yeah, so they both have DRS, so Oliver is not passed, but this will be very difficult for Dylan to hold this.
And Phil Hagsvik also now a lap down, so 12 cars on the lead lap of this race. And it might stay that way until the finish. Very close now, 3 laps to go. Or including this one. She really shouldn't include because there's about to complete it. The gap for the leads come out. I'm afraid we can pretty much ignore the top 2 at this point in the race. It's everyone behind them that is giving us more excitement in the late stages. Will it be will it be Pollens or Lalu? Pollens or Frelich who takes the final spot on the podium?
Yeah, and I think it will be Frelich because the last laps are very consistent. Yeah, and only 3/10 this lap, so 3/10 for Pascal Pollens, and he needs to take it out with more. So I think the compound software, the magic of that is working out.
A little touch between Perekian, who was on the grass, and Dylan Platt into the final corner. They bang wheels, and Perekian goes through. He makes it. So Oliver Perekian up into P6, Dylan Platt down into P7. And it doesn't appear to be any damage to either of those cars despite the touches. The car behind them is a lap down, so Dylan Platt is not in danger of losing a place here despite what just happened. Watch this, Perekian almost goes onto the grass, does run on the grass. The world's fastest lawnmower gains a place.
Yes, so we're really in the closing stages now, and yeah, I think Michael Ayers is already saving this engine a bit. At least I think he's not pushing his maximum now, and he's just knocking off all the laps and waiting for his moment to be victorious in Montreal. If he indeed can do that, we shall see.
As your leader, just 1.5 laps to go at this point in time. There is Pascal Pollens, still reeling in Shimon Frelich, nearly within DRS range now. He might be within DRS range of him by the end of this lap, actually. That would make the last lap interesting. I still think it might just about be too little too late, but you can never tell with motorsport. It is seriously unpredictable, especially when you have drivers of different concentration levels late on in the race. Maguire, meanwhile, has just passed Geisinger. That's with P11. So Maguire still gaining points in this race, not giving up despite the incident earlier on, which I should remind you is not his fault. So he's a real candidate for driver of the day today. And we are on the last lap of the race. Michael Ayres leads by 10 seconds as he goes on to last tour.
Also, Saracino.
Frelick, but followed by quite a distance.
Oh, and Pascal Schmidt is pushing so hard. He wants to have that podium, but now in lap times he is slower than Simon Frelick. Simon Frelick has got this if he can stay out of the DRS zone, I think, because otherwise it can be really, really exciting and really a danger for him. And we've got a great fight for P10 that's not done yet. It's Tom van der Voort and Fabian Siersik, and of course Fabian now I think has got DRS. Yeah, but I think it's not enough for now.
Just 2 corners to go now for Michael Ayres. We are on board with our race winner-elect, I suppose you could say. Coming down the back straight with DRS, but he doesn't need it. He's still going to lead by about 11 seconds when he crosses this finish line. Michael Ayres has held off early challenges from Saracino, from Ruben Machete, etc. and he wins in Canada. Michael Ayres is a Super League race winner. Giuseppe Saracino is going to finish second, although a little way back in the end. Michael has properly dominated that.
I believe Saracino's first podium, if I'm not mistaken, in this series. So well done, Giuseppe Saracino. A lot of work paid off. And Simon Frelick, our championship leader, extends his lead with a podium here in Montreal with Pascal Schmidt just finished in P4 with Giuseppe Saracino now in P5. There he is, P5 for Giuseppe Saracino. Well done. And now we're waiting for Oliver Brickian. That's a tongue breaker, Caitlin. I agree. He is finishes in P6. A load of points for him. And Dylan Platt now in P7. So a lot of points for TR also from the second driver. David Wasserman finishes in P8, and then he beats Tom van der Voort, who finishes a respectable P9 from the back of the grid, with Fabian Siersik rounding out the top 10. Luke Maguire, after an incident, still P11, and I believe also the fastest lap point. So I'm saying that. And I believe that's true because Owen Vilhousvik tried to get the fastest lap, but he
Luke got it in the end. Luke got it.
Yeah, but it's close with Owen, but Luke got it. Maxi Giesinger in P12, and Owen Vilhousvik now finished in P13 with the last finisher, George Sutton, in P14. So those are your.
Tell you what, Menno, the fastest lap was decided by 3,000ths of a second. You don't get much closer than that. But congratulations there to Luke Maguire, and congratulations to our race winner, Michael Ayres.
And that's 1 point he might really eat in the end of the championship. Who knows? So, well done, I think, for that. So you see the standings here, and then I believe we're soon going for interviews.
Indeed, there you see the standings once again. Quite a few DNFs in the end, 6, and then of course there were 2 DNFs. Chris Butcher failed to start, and Chris Gitzov was having all sorts of technical difficulties despite joining just before the end of qualifying. But even with 20 starters, only 14 were able to make it to the flag. But what a show those 14 cars put on, with Ayres' winning margin in the end being 10.565 seconds. He was already a Super League Lights winner. He won 3 races last season, but now he has won again to start off this year with a bang. Menno, would you like to take the first interview?
Yeah, of course, no problem. Let's drag somebody in. Who should we drag in?
Okay, well, you can have your pick if you like.
Let's begin with Ruben, our pole sitter, and one of the first to retire. To get him in. Let's see if he's there. Hello, Ruben.
Hello.
Hello. So, yeah, pole position for you, but not a good race result. Yeah, crash. So, yeah, tell us, how was your day?
Well, so today, as I practice for the race a lot, like over 100 reps, because I wanted to perform and show that I have the base, which I have, I think, done with the pole today. But yeah, the race, I just spun after turn 3, what never happened in the training. So I will have a look into that. But yeah. I'm just frustrated because, yeah, it would be today a very good opportunity to maybe score a podium, a win, or maybe top 5. So, yeah, just frustrated.
Yeah, I understand. But what is it with you in this track? You got 2 wins in FS2. You got a podium in FS1, and now pole position in Superlights. I mean, yeah, this is your track, and you look to be nearly unbeatable in Tuesday. So yeah, what is this with this track? Is this just something you like? Do you feel every bump like you control it, or is it? What is it?
Well, I don't know. I would not say Canada is one of my favorites, but it's a nice track to drive. And I think also my improvement from last year. Last year I was, for example, in Hockenheim Super League Lights last year. I was like, I think P15, and now I'm standing here to say it's my first pole position. It's incredible. So I think I can be really happy about the improvement I make. So yeah, and Canada is also, I think, one of my fastest tracks after Spa and here Brazil.
Yeah. So no, okay, that's then I think a bit of a reason, but yeah, you can still be very proud of yourself with that pole position because that was really good. So Rufen, thanks for being there. And I wonder one thing: are you going to do the whole Canada thing and start in 2 days' time as well, or is that not on the cards? Because are you going full in and doing everything now?
Well, I don't know, to be honest.
Okay.
If our Super League manager needs a
Yeah.
driver, he
Yeah.
could ask me, and
Yeah.
we will see.
Okay, yeah, well, yeah, I think your current track record would be interesting for most managers. So just wanted to point that out there. Ruben, thanks for being there, and yeah, we need to go on to the next interview, but thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye
Goodbye.
bye.
Thank you, Raven. Okie dokie, let's move on now to a driver who I'm sure will be much happier, Michael Ayres. Hello there.
Hello.
So after 58 winners, you've come out, 58 laps, you've come out victorious. Fantastic stuff.
Thanks, man.
How did you do it today?
I got a good start, and then I just led every lap to finish and just kept a buffer of about 6 seconds behind.
It sounds so easy, so easy, like a walk in the park. You must have been super comfortable in the car. How much setup work did you do coming into this race?
Surprisingly not a lot. I literally just started doing laps last night. I'm talking like late last night, and pretty much all of the work was done probably the hours leading up to the race. So yeah, I'm quite surprised I won, to be honest.
Indeed. Well, Superlights has been a happy hunting ground for you. 3 wins last season, and you've added another one to your tally this year. Is your plan to move forward with this series, and you know, kind of which rounds you're going to have to miss still?
I guess we'll see. I am a little bit busy this year, which is unfortunate because I'd like to do more races. I've missed the last 2 because I was too busy. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see me and the Green Army take it to a new level, hopefully.
And considering that you've now got 4 Superlights victories under your belt, are you considering doing any Super League this year?
Like I said, I did some races last year. I guess we'll just have to see. Probably an emergency here and there, and yeah, we'll see.
Well, you did a fantastic job today. Won by over 10 seconds in the end, and that's all you could have asked for. Congratulations, mate.
Thank you.
Okie dokie, so that was our race winner, Michael Ayres. Menno, would you like to take the next one?
Yeah, of course. If Discord lets me, who should I drag in?
Well, Oliver had a good drive from the back of the grid, didn't he?
Yeah, let's get in. Let's get Oliver in, and let's say his name correctly. Hello, Oliver.
Hello.
Are you there? So, yeah, a good race from you. Yeah, you can just tell us how that went and how was the strategy? How was it in the end, pushing and going over the track?
Yeah, well, on the formation lap, I was caught up in the incident where Chris Butcher teleported inside me and gave me massive damage, so I had to escape and start from the pits, which it wasn't the best start. But as my setup just felt really great today, and as soon as I started on that first stint, I was getting past people pretty easily, and I managed to get back up inside the top 10. And the tyres were lasting longer than they had in my practice, so it allowed me to push a bit more. With the strat, we decided we'd go for the aggressive 3-stop because from our testing, the mediums felt absolutely awful, and the hards and the softs felt a lot better, and the softs felt especially good. So we wanted to spend as much time on them as possible, and yeah, it worked out in the end. Had a nice battle with Dylan in the last few laps, and yeah, P6 is my best result so far, so I'll take that from starting from the pits.
Yeah, that's very good to hear. And now at the current tracks, which is still coming, which is the favorite of you? Because we're going to Silverstone next, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
and then
Silverstone's a pretty good track for me. It's up there. I mean, Suzuka is my strongest track, but I've got to wait a bit longer for that.
Yeah, but
So,
it's luckily it's on there, so yeah, we will go there. So
apart from that, I mean, Brazil, I go quite well at. But yeah, I'm looking forward to a lot of the tracks coming up. I think the European tracks tend to suit me better than the tracks we've had recently.
Yeah. Okay, so that's very good to hear. Yeah, I actually don't have much more questions, so yeah, I'll leave it with that.
Thanks, guys.
Okay. Bye.
Oh, Oliver, before you leave, apologies for getting your name wrong so often. I am so sorry.
It's no problem.
I know what your name is. It's just when my tongue is flying, it goes Olivier. But
It's
anyway.
no problem.
Same here, so I can relate to that. Yeah, we need to have more broadcasts to learn it properly.
Well,
Okay, thanks for the interview anyway.
Be up there for you to say it a bit more often this season.
Yes. Give us some practice. Okay, thank you. Bye, dude. Okay, and last but not least, let's talk to our championship leader. I wish we could talk to more people, but unfortunately we are running out of time. Shimon Frelick, you came into this round as the championship leader. Your rivals had some issues. Some pretty good points out of this one.
Yeah, pretty chaotic race, I would say. I certainly did not expect a podium coming into this race, as I didn't have much pace, and my engine, well, I took the worst possible engine, which was 2 race old, so
Wow.
was down on performance. I just hoped to not lose out that much to Luke and Jan if he was racing, but he wasn't. Don't know why. But yeah, it was a pretty lonely race for me, just trying to execute the 2-stop, and at the end I had to push a lot to fend off Pascal Poland's on the 3-stop. That was, I think, the most sweaty 10 laps I've done ever.
Wow, ever? Why was this race so hard? I mean, I know it was a tough one, but compared to the others you've done.
Well, Pascal was on a 3-stop, so he had much fresher tires, and I think at that point I was on no, not 15, but like 13 lap old hards while he was on the fresh mediums. So that was a huge tire advantage to him. And then he, we were using the softest compound, so the rear, especially here in Canada, it was super sensitive and it was really hard to manage. And at the final couple of laps, I was just sliding around every corner, but somehow I just managed to stay ahead of Pascal at the end.
Yeah. What I wanted to say, one thing is we were also on board with you for a few laps, and the way you drove over those curbs at the last corner was amazing. The amount of confidence you had there was, that was amazing. You fully trusted it when the car was jumping and where it was going to land. So that was something I wanted to say, that I was really impressed with that.
Yeah, the confidence came from practice, obviously. I was riding the curbs over like that pretty much all the time, but sometimes it didn't go quite right. On a couple of laps, I nearly went into the wall of champions, but by the end, I just managed to stay out of them.
Well, you were flying literally and figuratively in that race, dude, and you've come away with the podium. So congratulations, and thank you for talking to us.
Thank you.
That was Shimon Frelick, and that was also the end of the broadcast. Sorry to everyone we didn't get time to interview, but thank you to all of the people who we did during the race and after it. Thank you to Menno for joining me in the broadcast booth. This was a lot of fun. I always enjoy commentating with you, Menno. Thank you as well to Tom Stevens for broadcasting the race, and of course to everyone, all of you who are watching along in the YouTube stream. We will be live in 2 days' time for the main Super League Grand Prix, and that is going to be an even longer, even tougher, even more hard-fought race with even higher stakes. So don't you miss that one. And then of course Super League Lights, or Superlights, will be live again in 2 weeks' time from Silverstone in Great Britain. For tonight, it's goodbye, but we will see you again soon.